Thank you very much for staying. This is The Marketplace. Welcome back. Now to the very first story. President Akufo-Addo has charged Ghanaian businesses and manufacturers to take advantage of the recently signed Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement to expand their operations following Ghana's affirmation of the deal. The agreement was signed this year by 42 African countries to enhance trade among AU members. Ghana and Kenya were the first countries to present their certificate of ratification to the African Union at its headquarters in Addis Ababa.
Business. The advantages revolve around the skills of our workforce, our attitude to work, the legal system that exists for the resolution of disputes when they do arise, and the stability of our macroeconomy. These advantages should enable us to be important beneficiaries of the impending Continental Free Trade Area, which should present immense opportunities for Ghanaian enterprise, creativity, ingenuity, and innovation. The importance to which government attaches the concept is illustrated by the fact that Ghana and Kenya are the first two countries to deposit their instruments of ratification at the AU headquarters in Addis Ababa. Government and the private sector have to work hand in hand to take advantage of this important new development. In the project for Ghana Beyond Aid, skills training and vocational education must and will take center stage as a means to dealing with youth employment, as well as sharpening our competitive edge in global trade and commerce.
Now, turning away from that story, individuals who haven't paid back their students' loans after several years of failed attempts by the Ghana Students' Loan Trust Fund to retrieve them will risk prosecution after next month. Chief Executive of the Students' Loan Trust Fund, Nana J. Yabua, said the fund will be heading for court if new measures fail to make an impact. All students loan defaulters, are requested to pay up or make arrangements to pay overdue balances by Friday, the 15th of June.
Of defaulters on our portfolio, we are educating the general public, letting them know where they can go to pay their loans, also reminding them of their social responsibility to pay back, So we've dedicated the whole of this month as Recovery Month, that we're going by the use of the media, social media. We are going on these platforms to remind borrowers that they need to pay back so that we can also give back to their brothers and sisters. We've given a window. The Section 26 of the Act 820, also mandates us to publish the names of debtors. So those who, up to that point, if you don't come to make arrangements or to pay, we publish the names. And still, if they don't, we can move forward to go to circuit court and get judgment against them.
Now, a recent survey by the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology Business School has indicated that poor documentation or record keeping is threatening survival and growth of local businesses in the country. Dean of the Business School, Professor Nathaniel Boso, is worried the situation has implications on credit assessment from governmental and commercial creditors.
Professor Nathaniel Boso advocated management control systems to help monitor daily operations of their business to drive profit.
Issue about, let me do something to survive today. Let me do something small to look after my family. But we don't think so. Many of them have the ability to grow these businesses to become bigger businesses.
The survey, which took place in Kumasi Central Market and Swami Magazine, sought to find the best practices that accelerate business growth and profit maximization. Researchers also found a lack of trust in the commercial banking system, which they blamed on experiences with commercial banks and creditors.
There's one thing to think about. that either banks are there to take their money away or they are there to cheat them. So we asked one of the guys at the Swami magazine with a lot of dollars in a box that he was sitting on. And we were like, why not take it to the bank? Say, no. They don't trust them.
The outreach, the first of its kind, was to stimulate the university's vision of academia productive sector connectivity. Head of the university's business incubator, Samuel Yawakomia, is encouraging local business enterprises to enter into limited liability. He said it's a formidable way to attract investors and ensure the business survival.
If I want to invest in your company, I want to actually buy equity in your company. I can buy equity in an enterprise. I can buy equity in a limited liability because you have shares.
Ashanti Regional Chairman, Association of Small-Scale Industries, Kwame Bo, urged the university to work closely with the association to improve their contribution to the economy.
They should continue with the literacy program now, and then continue with the IT program that has come into the system now, and if possible, add the accountancy issue now to it, so that it will go a long way to support the small-scale sector now.
President of the Students Association, Enoch Yabua, was happy the engagement would bridge classroom work with activities of the informal sector.
What you do here is basically theory, and then they do the practical aspects. So this time around, we decided to go and then teach them the theoretical aspect of business, and then you also learn from the practical aspects of what they do.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Let's all stay in Kumasi for a while. It's been about 2 years now since the fall army worm attacked several hectares of farmlands in the country. Scientists are still warning of the invasion of another pest known as the tomato leaf miner, which is said to be destroying several tomato farms. Assistant Ashanti Regional Agric Officer Plant Protection Michael Kuma says the pest has been identified in the eastern, western, Bonahafo and Ashanti regions. He was speaking at the Korea Africa Pesticide Young Scientist Pilot Research Program in Kumasi.
Professor Nathaniel Busso advocated management control systems to help monitor daily operations of their business to drive profit.
Issue about let me do something to survive today. Let me do something small to look after my family. But we don't think so. Many of them have the ability to grow these businesses to become bigger businesses.
The survey, which took place in Kumasi Central Market and Swami Magazine, sought to find the best practices that accelerate business growth and profit maximization. Researchers also found lack of trust in the commercial banking system, which they blamed on experiences with commercial banks and creditors.
There's one thing to think about, that either banks are there to take their money away or they are there to cheat them. So we asked one of the guys at the Swami magazine with a lot of dollars in a box that he was sitting on. And we were like, why not take it to the bank? Say, no. They don't trust us.
The outreach, the first of its kind, was to stimulate the university's vision of academia productive sector connectivity. Head of the university's business incubator, Samuel Yawakomia, is encouraging local business enterprises to enter into limited liability. He said it's a formidable way to attract investors and ensure the business survival.
If I want to invest in your company, I want to actually buy equity in your company. I can buy equity in an enterprise. I can buy equity in a limited liability because you have shares.
And we sincerely apologize for the wrong insert today. But away from that, there appears to be some pressure mounting on the Bank of Ghana to quickly move in and deal with gold buying firm Men's Gold. This was after the preliminary investigations found that the institution had a system of accepting deposits without the central bank's approval. There's more in this report.
According to the Bank of Ghana's own Act on Special Deposits Taking Institutions, or let's say the laws that guide operations of institutions taking deposits, any firm found to be taking deposits without the written approval from the bank must be stopped. The law, however, prescribes some steps that should be taken before the final action. For instance, the Act states, quote, where the Bank of Ghana has sufficient reason to believe that the person is transacting or carrying on a deposit deposit-taking business in contravention to the Act, the Bank of Ghana may, in writing, authorize an officer of the Bank of Ghana to perform some functions that would possibly lead to closing down of the business. End of quote. But in response to a question at the MPC press conference, Governor of the Bank of Ghana maintained that he wants to work with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, which issued the license before the final action is taken. But some industry players and analysts the Joy Business engaged are of the view that the Bank of Ghana has enough evidence to take the action on Men's Gold if it really believes that it's performing on illegality. Men's Gold had initially maintained that they were not taking deposits but commodity trading business by just buying gold. Now it appears the latest findings suggest otherwise.
Thank you very much for staying. Now, the chief executive of the gold buying firm Men's Gold, Nana Appiah-Mensah, is challenging the Bank of Ghana over claims his company is taking deposits from the public. Now, George Riafe has been following up on this particular issue. He's joining me here in the studio for some more details. George, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Now, you have been following this development. You've been talking, so to speak, to Nana Appiah-Mensah. What has he been saying?
I have not been talking to him. This is actually what he posted on his Twitter feed this morning. Now, let's listen to him. He's saying that what happened to the presumption of innocence under the Article 19, Section 1C. Men's Gold, and this was italized, Men's Gold doesn't take deposits. We are law-abiding. Respectfully, he who alleges must immediately discharge the burden of proof. Unsubstantiated, options or maybe utterances that have not been substituted. It doesn't play any place here, and that's what he's actually putting the issues forward, that these are remarks that cannot be backed by any proof, and therefore it is wrong, and therefore he's looking up to what the judges will say on this issue, possibly an indication that they could be heading to court to get clarity on this issue. And then he closes that by saying that the Lord is his shepherd.
Now, so what is the basis of the Bank of Ghana over these claims that it is making?
Well, the Bank of Ghana, first it came out to warn the public about not to deal with this institution because they are not allowed to take deposits. From the governor's remarks yesterday, there have been some initial investigations, and they've been able to establish that they had a system where they were taking deposits. And even we also picking up information that there were some mystery deposits, and they realized from their investigations that that company was indeed taking deposits. And if you look at the Bank of Ghana's own laws, actually it says that if you are fit today, you are taking deposit from the public and you're offering them a guaranteed rate. That business, that transaction that you're undertaking, should be regulated by the Bank of Ghana.
Exactly.
And it looks like Men's Gold is playing in that space, and that is why they have to regulate it. So you stop them first from taking fresh funds, and you look at the operations, whether they have to be draw their license, seal their premises off, or whatever they have to do to them as the Bank of Ghana laws prescribes. But there are processes that the Bank of Ghana has to go through before they take that action.
Is it also having problems with the SEC as a regulator?
Well, it's so difficult how you want to place Men's Gold. We understand that they were given licenses by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to buy gold. We have not established from the Securities and Exchange Commission that they have a license to trade in derivatives, where you have assets that are directly linked to certain commodities and how they perform, and in return they give you some profits, or let's just say returns as a depositor. So all those things, there's some level of ambiguity, but from the Bank of Ghana, they can establish that Men's Gold is taking deposits from the public.
All right, so let's hear what the experts are also saying with regards to this particular development. And a senior lecturer and economist with the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Lord Mensah, says the central bank will struggle to deal with proposed actions to be taken against gold buying firm Men's Gold. Speaking to Joy Business, Dr. Mensah described the activities of Men's Gold as an intermediary between individuals who want to buy gold and the gold market. He says their activities fall under what he prescribes or describes as a derivatives market for which the central bank lacks appropriate regulations needed to deal with.
As it stands now, Men's Gold is, a gold dealer. Men's Gold is not registered as a deposit-taking institution. So Bank of Ghana needs to be careful as to how they handle the situation. Now, Bank of Ghana can only step in to close down. Let me go straight. Men's Gold only when they realize that Men's Gold has been registered as a deposit-taking institution. Therefore, individual depositors' funds are exposed. But as it stands now, they are not registered as, deposit-taking institution, therefore giving out loans here and there. But when they are in business, they ask you to bring your money. We're going to buy gold for you, right? So they are more or less mediating between the gold market and then, those who are prepared to buy gold. Now, as to whether those who are going to buy those gold, the kind of interest that they're looking out for in buying the gold, more or less depends on the gold market price. Let me put it that way. So once you put it in that form, it forms, kind of a package that will put it under derivatives, right? But then our market for derivatives is not that grown yet. So I'm wondering whether the Bank of Ghana has, that kind of regulations to say that Men's Gold is operating in a form of derivatives, because the actual asset in itself, you might not get it, because people buy gold, in terms of value. So therefore, waiting for appreciation of gold prices or gold, gold dust prices for them to realize their profit or interest for going on that venture. So Bank of Ghana will struggle for now as we speak as to how to control this issue.
It's live on the marketplace, and it's only 2 days away from the Joy Business, Health and Wellness Trade Show, which will take place at the Accra Digital Center near the Kwame Nkrumah Interchange here in Accra. And I'm privileged to have with me here one of the organizers, Odilia Ntiama, who is also the assistant news editor of Joy Business in charge of events, to tell us more about it. Odilia, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, so quickly, tell us all about this.
Okay, so we noticed that there's been a lot of issues surrounding research. Now, a lot of times we say that researchers find, or they come up with findings, and then it's just put on the shelf. What happens afterwards? They don't have any outcomes because people are not willing, or there isn't enough cash to invest in. Exactly. And so this is what is going to happen at the Health and Wellness Trade Show. We're sort of pooling businesses to meet researchers. And so that's like a B2B arrangement, exactly. Business to business arrangements with people. And then you sit back at home and you really don't know your number. That's whether you're hypertensive or not, medical conditions, a lot of people do not know. And so what is happening is that at the Health and Wellness, we have B2C arrangements. That's business to customers or business to clients arrangements. Okay. That's where people get to meet, their doctors, get to meet the pharmacy that they buy from, get to meet people that they can liaise with to be able to tell which health conditions are, pertaining to their current situation.
Now, is it only open to conventional health practitioners and the public?
No, it's not. It's actually open to just everybody, because all of us, one way or the other, will have a health condition one day. I mean, you will catch a cold, you would get a malaria. Some people have terminal diseases. Sometimes we sort of wait till it gets too late before we get to test. Now we're saying that we are presenting you with an opportunity to test, find out exactly what's happening in your body. Also, we're giving people the opportunity to donate blood. We're giving people the opportunity to do private sort of arrangements when it comes to checking what's wrong with them. Sometimes people have like itchy bottom, for example. If your buttocks itches, sometimes people don't think that it's a sickness, but it is. Oh, really? And you can probably tell, your physician or your doctor, but you want this sort of a private kind of environment. And so we're doing male clinics, female clinics, where people get to get really personal with their doctors, and it's really private.
Now, what about people who believe only in traditional medicine?
Yes, it's on all platforms, and so the traditional medicine people are also going to mount a stand where you get to also get information from traditional medicine practitioners.
All right. So the venue is the
Accra Digital Center.
Where exactly?
Okay, so if you want to find the Accra Digital Center and you're coming from, let's say, Joy FM towards Circle, so is at the end of the bridge or at the end of the overpass or the interchange. So getting close to VIP. Getting close to VIP, or also if you're coming from Circle, then
heading
STC,
towards Kaneshi.
Heading towards. If you're coming from Kaneshi, heading towards Circle, it's around after the STC, opposite the Awudome Cemetery, and then Snett is also around the same place.
All right, thank you very much for that update. Odilia Ntiamwa is the organizer, or one of the organizers of the Health and Wellness Trade Show, which comes off at the Accra Digital Center this Thursday, the 24th of May. Now, health-related learning institutions would, from next year, have access to research fund established by government to support their training. Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Manu, who disclosed this to Joy Business, said this is in line with government's policy of improving conditions of health research institutions in the country. The minister has been speaking to Joy Business ahead of the Health and Wellness Trade Show here in Accra.
Over the next few years, our strategic plan in the ministry, we don't intend establishing or putting up any new research center. What we are trying to do is to give support to the existing ones. You know, Noguchi is leading research in Africa. This is cannot be disputed. But there are other research institutions in the system that not very many people know about. The one at Continental, we have one in Kumasi, relatively very small one. There's another one in Tamale Teaching Hospital, close to it. Now, anytime we operationalize University of Ghana Medical Center, we're going to put a lot of emphasis on research to go along with operationalization of the hospital to aid teaching and learning. So these are things that we're doing, and we have plans to actually invest into research to give us very serious benefit. The president, in our manifesto, talked about setting up a research fund, and I believe soon Kenyans will hear about that. Probably next year, that fund will begin to operate. Discussions are on the way, and that is a sure way we think that we can put investment into research.
So diagnosing diseases can sometimes be very tricky if you don't have the right medical equipment. Now, since it started operating about 8 years ago, Sunshine Healthcare has been offering world-class diagnostic expertise with a wide range of laboratory and imaging services. It is one of the firms you will meet at the Accra Digital Center when the Joy Business and Health Wellness Trade Show opens on Thursday. Chief Executive Bernard Joseph has been speaking to us ahead of the event. All right, so we'll bring that interview with you to you later in the course of our bulletins. And on that note, we wrap up this afternoon's edition of the Marketplace. But as a reminder, the Health and Wellness Trade Show comes up 24th of this month on Thursday, and it's going to take place at the Accra Digital Training Center. My name is Emmanuel Apwache. We are